There's a theory that the United States invaded Iraq in order to stop Saddam Hussein from opening a portal to another planet.
Yeah, 2,000 years ago, there was a portal that was discovered by ancient Sumerians, and they built a temple around it to house it and worship it or something, that whatever the ancients would do. And during the Iraq War, Saddam Hussein was trying to rebuild it and gain access to that.
And so they didn't have weapons of mass destruction. This was the justification that they gave in order to start the Iraq War. I don't believe any of that, but we'll see.
I believe 100% of it.
We'll go through the story, the theory, and what happened. This is a comedy podcast. We go through and learn different things each week, and we joke around the whole time. If you're here for the topic, you're going to enjoy the show. You're going to love this a lot.
It's November 19th. What's happening?
This weekend, I am in Kansas City, and then I am in Dallas, Longview, and Waco, Texas. Very excited to be in Texas this weekend. And then next weekend is Thanksgiving, so we get to hang out and with family and stuff.
Thankful.
Yeah, love to just have gratitude. All of my shows are listed somewhere. You can find them. And then right now, next week's episode is available to our Patreon supporters. If you want to listen and follow along on Patreon, you can do that. We don't make any money off this. It's just a way to support the show and help us keep making episodes. So finish this one, and then next week's episode is ready for you right this minute. So let's jump into Stargate.
Have you ever heard of Iraq?
Okay.
No, I mean Iraq, but like specifically the Stargate in Iraq.
I give so many recommendations for episodes, and you still are just like, you ever heard about the Iraq War? And you're like, I don't want to do this.
This isn't the Iraq War. I mean, I guess it is related. The Iraq War will come up.
That's what I'm saying.
But
like, have you ever heard about the Middle East? You're like, dude, I don't want to do this, dude. Do another Little Caesars episode.
Okay.
Roll the theme song. There's a gnat in here.
It hasn't gone away.
There's a singular
four
gnat.
Episodes.
There's a singular gnat in this studio.
It leaves us alone until we start shooting.
Golly. Anyway, go ahead.
Here's the topic, and it gets fired up. Yeah. So here's, I don't know how to start this episode. You know what a Stargate is? Have you ever heard of it?
Is it a space thing?
No, it's a movie. So here we have a movie prop. So this is a Stargate from the movie Stargate.
Is this what they modeled that like portal after?
Portal?
The Times Square portal?
Oh, probably, honestly. Yeah. If you're listening, it's a circle, and the circle's got a big hole in it.
It looks like every movie where it's like they turn it on and it goes zzz, and then it's like a weird flowy portal thing, and you can see through it and you can walk through it.
It looks like any like 2000s Disney Channel bumper inside of it, where it's like very liquidy and like for
sure.
So this is a Stargate. So the concept from the movie is basically there are these hidden Stargates around the planet that are like hidden, like archaeological discoveries that need to be made. And these Stargates are ancient alien technology that are wormholes. And those wormholes take you to different planets.
Sure.
They're like connected to a single other gate somewhere else in the galaxy. And that's how you get there. And so the whole movie is, I don't know, I haven't seen the movie.
Sure.
So the whole movie, and they eventually got spun off into a TV show.
Like portal movie I watched. There's like a wardrobe, and this girl walks through it, and it's actually like a whole fantasy land back there. And there's a witch, and there's some Turkish delight, which as a kid you're like, that must be so delicious for him to betray his family. And then you try it one time because you're like, oh, it's in there, it's nothing. It's so bad.
Bland.
It's like
we're
also raised on freaking cosmic brownies, so you know. But. So anyway,
that's a good point. That is a good point.
Are you telling me the wardrobe's in Iraq?
Honestly, now that you're saying that, I would not be surprised if
the White Witch is Osama bin Laden.
I would not be surprised if that was the inspiration for the Stargate movie franchise. Now that you're saying that, because it's the same concept, but instead of
a small British girl finds what's the
U.S. military.
Is the first person she talks to when she goes to the portal a half goat, half man?
I mean, it's an alien.
Are we
so
claiming that Stargate's a direct ripoff of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe?
I mean, I haven't seen it, so I don't know, but it could be. All I'm saying is it might be.
Sure.
There is a lion in it, and the lion's name is Jesus in Stargate. They were a little less creative.
On the nose. Yeah, he's gonna die for our sins later.
So the movie franchise was a fairly large-ish movie franchise. Got spun off into a TV show.
What does this have to do with Iraq?
You'll find out. It got spun off into a TV show, whatever. But here's the thing. Allegedly, these are real. And the movie is based off reality.
Why are you doing this?
I don't know. You wanted to learn something. I'm teaching you. So these are based off reality. So here is a real life Stargate, allegedly. These sorts of things are apparently found.
Where is this one?
I don't know. It looks like Maine or something.
Okay. If you're gonna do it, if you're gonna fully commit, here's the thing: you don't even believe this stuff anymore. I can just feel it whenever you're talking. Like, I don't know, man, Maine or something. Anyway, Stargates. This is how you're talking so far. You used to try to sell this stuff. Now you're just like, we're going to talk about the Stargates.
Because I used to believe
allegedly
this
it's real. Jaron's given me 20 solid topics the last year, and
you haven't given me 20. You've given me one. It's just that one guy over and over again. You just keep telling me to do that one therapist.
Let's look.
You had one good experience with a therapist, and now you're all into it.
Yeah. I'm going to show you right now how many freaking episode ideas I've given you. Okay. Great.
Don't say them because I'm probably still going to use them. They're in my list.
All right. Number one, Stargate. What?
Gosh dang. You've been getting me a lot lately with stuff like that.
Yeah,
the other day.
Comedy of subverting your expectations, and your expectations are just not even.
Normally, I can see where your brain's going.
Okay, great. So let's see, neoclassical architecture, more interesting. And then let's see.
Neoclassical.
Let's see.
You could probably make an argument that these are neoclassical.
John Grimshaw.
I don't know what that is. I told you not to say these because these are on my list. I'm probably still going to end up doing it.
They're not on your list.
Yes, they are on my list.
Did we already do? Yeah, hold on.
Oh, are you finding something that I've done?
No.
Oh, is that what's happening? You're saying, so he's done this.
In 1582, the calendar goes from Thursday, 4th of October, and was followed by Friday, the 15th of October. There are 10 missing days in history. This is something I've sent you.
Show me. Prove it.
I've sent this to you.
Yeah, show me the text. Show me the thread. I don't recognize that.
February 5th, 2023.
2023? That's why I don't remember that. I can't remember stuff from our own show last month. What do you think I'm going to remember something from 2023? What was my response? Was it? What did I say?
A year and a half ago, where you sent me a bunch of ideas for an episode, and then I just completely ignored it, and we did stuff that was stupid, like Stargate.
Did you? Hold on.
For a whole year and a half, we could have had some really good ideas, like the time there were 10 days missing in history in 1582.
What did I say?
Classical architecture.
What did I say? What was my response?
You thumbed up it.
Did I say classic?
The next text you said was, "Did you want to move our meeting from 11 to now?"
Well, look. Here's the thing. Now we've got a shared Notion board. You can actually put the ideas in there. We'll know they saved.
Oh, this is
sad. No, I'm never going to forget it.
The next text I sent you was, my trainer's dog just died in the middle of our session. That was a really sad day.
Yeah, I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos to desensitize me. That's why I laughed.
We were at the gym, and my trainer was just like, hold on, the vet's calling. And then he literally was just, he was distraught. Mm-hmm. And so,
as he would be, yeah.
He was like, let's keep finishing this work. I was like, go home.
Yeah, you don't have to do that.
Go home to your wife.
Yeah.
Oh, it was a sad
That's
day.
brutal.
So anyway, that's probably why you forgot. You were like so traumatized by the death of my trainer's dog.
Yeah, honestly, what probably happened is you sent me that. I saw it. I thumbed up it because I was like, oh, that's a good idea. And then I forgot about it.
Didn't put it in your planner.
Yeah, well, no. What I was saying just now while you were reading about the dog was now we got the Notion board. Now that we share, we can just add it directly.
And we are sponsored by Notion. You can sign up with our referral link. I think we actually can give a referral link.
Oh, yeah, we should set that up.
I called Zach Mayfield the other day.
Oh, my gosh.
And I said, hey, man, I'm doing a new YouTube project where I'm trying to solve this crime, trying to find some B-roll footage. What subscriptions do you use? And he said, hold on. Let me send you my referral link. I hung up on him. I said, who do you think I am? One of your subscribers?
Yeah, you can't. You should, for everything you send a link to someone, you should send a referral link, but you should not say, I'll send you my referral link. Just send the link.
Just send the link.
Just send the link. All right.
You know how many people, you know how much money,
do
you know how much money I have made? The only way I'm able to afford my whole lifestyle is the number of people who have used my referral links to buy the Coleman Salu Spa inflatable hot tub. I send this link to everybody. It's actually when I share my contact with new people, I go, hey man, Jaron Myers. Also, I'm gonna send you something real quick. And I send them the referral link.
You share you send your contact, but before you do, you send that link, and you're like, oh, sorry, wrong link.
Mr. Coleman has called me himself and said, yeah, that's pretty great. He sounds crazy. That's what he sounds like.
Wait, is that the same the Coleman Grills Coleman? Is that the same Coleman?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yes. No, who you're thinking of, no, it's not that guy.
Okay, I'm thinking of the early 2000s infomercials guy.
Yeah, you're thinking of Gary Coleman.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. I don't think that the Salu Spa is...
I mean, it could be, honestly, hand in hand. That product, I bet he makes the grills. I bet he uses the grills in the spa.
No, you're thinking of George Foreman.
No. I know Foreman had the grills, but I also know Coleman also had the grills and also did the infomercials. They did them at the same time, and that was what was so funny about it.
Here's how your thought went. You went George Foreman, Gary Coleman, who is like the actor in the Jeffersons, right?
I don't know. All I know,
Willis. That's Gary Coleman.
All I know is both of them had grills, and they were doing infomercials at the same time in the early 2000s, and they sounded Coleman and Foreman were super similar.
Coleman Grill.
Am I right?
No,
Alex.
Coleman is like just a brand.
Yeah, but they make grills,
right?
But
now we're attaching Gary Coleman to it just because George Foreman did a grill, and we're like, that black guy did a grill. So that's actually on us for doing that. To be honest, that's on us. I don't think Gary Coleman is related to. Don't write it down. That's if anything, that's the healthy thing for us to do.
That's us
to
learning.
Acknowledge our own little moment right there.
That's us learning how much we suck.
Where George Foreman has a grill, Gary Coleman not related at all to the Coleman outdoor franchise.
Frick.
Yeah,
I mean he might be like he might have some Coleman products.
This is what happens: is that you are faced with facts and you go,
I couldn't possibly be wrong.
All right, so Stargate.
Okay,
Israel. Yeah. Do we know where that one was?
This one? No, I've got no idea.
Okay.
But
I'm saying, like, was that just found?
This one allegedly? Probably not. This one probably not. I'm gonna be honest with you.
That one looks like it's like, clearly made and.
Yeah.
Like those stones look newer than the surroundings, kind of thing. Like,
yeah, most likely this was.
People act like this is what ruins would look like if they found them. Have you
broke stuff before?
What? Have you what stuff?
Have you broke stuff before? It doesn't look this nice.
True, but have you look up the Mayan ruins before they were excavated?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So people act like that's what, like, they're just going to stumble across that and be like, oh, these are ancient ruins. And it's like, no. The ancient ruins that you're thinking of had to be literally dug out, like uncovered.
Yeah, here, I'll pull up a little before and after for us.
Yeah, so you can see my point that I'm making. Thank you so much.
All right, you ready for this?
Yes, yeah.
So before, like when it was discovered, this is what it looked like.
Right.
And then this is after they restored it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You see the huge difference? Go back to the first one. Yeah, that doesn't look like that at all.
Not even the same thing. Yeah, they had to essentially just rebuild the thing, which is wild.
Maybe they rebuilt it.
I mean, they rebuilt the top. The top was not on there. Sure. The top was not on there. For sure, and then they polished the heck out of it. They mowed the lawn. This is honestly, if you're an archaeologist, hold on. Let me turn it to my camera. If you're an archaeologist right now and you're out archaeologizing, I'm sure your university's probably hounding you to start a TikTok and make there be some more interest, get the youngins inspired to apply for your program and go into a massive amount of debt to pursue a career that will just leave them far away from home all the time. So that way they can't have a good relationship with their wife or kids. But if you're an archaeologist right now, here's what you need to do. You know those videos on TikTok of that guy who just goes to people's houses that are overgrown? He's like, hey, can I clean up your yard? And then he does it, and it's like a time lapse, and he mows the lawn, and he like power washes everything. Do that, but with pyramids. If you do that with pyramids, you find 1 million views on TikTok, 10 million views on TikTok. Honestly, probably 100 million views on TikTok. If you just film yourself cleaning archaeology, done. New Kanye West if you do that.
So Gary Coleman didn't have kidneys for 20 years.
All right, good. Let's get back to it. Okay, so we got to talk about
different
Stargates.
Strokes is what he was on. Different Strokes, which is the Jeffersons. Right?
Okay, here's the thing. We are now 17 minutes into this topic and we haven't talked about it at all. This is a topic that people are gonna randomly find us for. So this is perfect. All right, Stargates. So the story is that there are these hidden
conspiracy.
Stargates.
Add this to your list. There's a conspiracy that Gary Coleman was murdered by his wife.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Wow. Did we just discover a new topic together?
So the Stargates. I'm saying like clearly that one was made.
All right, so Stargates. So here's how the story goes. There are a series of Stargates in the world. Antarctica's got one of them. The North Pole's got one of them. Egypt's got one of them. And they're typically hidden within like major archaeological sites and or places that are very hard to get to. This is the movie plot still? No, we're in real life now. We're in real life now.
Sure, we're in the theory.
And so you might remember we did a story on, what was that guy's name? Admiral Byrd, I think, in Antarctica, where he found that hole in Antarctica that
Project Blue Book?
No, close, but another conspiracy theory.
Okay.
And it was this U.S. admiral that found a hole that went to the center of the earth. There was like a whole world in there.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it was another project name, something like that.
Sure.
But very similar concept. Antarctica's
Middle Earth people who live down there and all that stuff?
Yes.
Sure.
Another conspiracy that instead there's a Stargate, and that's how they get to and from Earth, the aliens.
Okay.
And so the story is that there is one of these inside the Great Ziggurat of Ur. Have you seen this before? Here's what it used to look like back when it was great, before it fell apart.
Sure.
And here it is today. And this actually, ironically, we already looked at some pyramids that were restored. This was restored by Saddam Hussein. I don't know if I have a before picture of it.
Did he just quit halfway through, or?
Yeah, we started trying to kill him, so that's why.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Here, let me see if I can find one before restoration. But yeah, so that whole, here it is. Gosh, that's crazy. How
much they restored it?
Yeah, it's wild that we talked about this before bringing up this part of the topic, and it's essentially the same thing. This is nuts. It's pretty much this whole, gosh, I kind of wish they finished it because it would have been cool. Here we go. Here's what it looked like before.
You found it?
Before it was restored.
That's crazy. And that's what I'm saying, dude. It's like, look at that. Like you couldn't just like, how do you look at that and then start to be like, we should start digging that?
Yeah, I mean, you probably look at the sides and you can clearly tell there's walls there,
right.
But you probably would have never guessed that it was this. And really was this. Like, it's pretty impressive. But anyway, so the story goes...
We have, why do we know it was that? You know what I'm saying?
I think we have, documentation from the era of what it was built to look like. Kind of like the Ark, where we know it was, the cubits by cubits and stuff, you know? We have descriptions of it. Hey, if you've been watching for a minute and you like this show, a great way to help out is by becoming a Patreon supporter. Our patrons get a ton of perks for their support. They get ad-free episodes a week early. They get a Discord with our hosts and producers. We do monthly hangouts. There's a way to get birthday messages on your birthday. There's a lot of great perks, but more than anything, you just help make sure that this show continues to happen forever. We never want to stop. We're going to keep doing this forever. If we have enough patron supporters, we can put our brains in those little vats and have AI pretend it's us. And so we can keep doing it long after we die. But that only happens if you support us on Patreon. So we appreciate your support. Thanks for your help. If you don't want to support, that's totally fine. Thanks for being here. We really appreciate you watching this show. So,
why do you constantly try to get us canceled by our Christian audience? Why do you constantly keep trying to bait me into did it actually happen? All right.
So we
found Adam's belly button. No, it didn't. Adam and Eve didn't have belly buttons, and I'll die on that hill.
Yeah, but when they found it, it wasn't restored, and they had to really do some work to clean it up and realize it was actually a belly button
with a little brush. It's an archaeology.
Yeah, they just thought it was some peat moss. And then they started doing some cleaning, and they're like, holy cow, this is a real belly button.
Adam's belly button.
He was an Audi. Adam shouldn't have a belly button, actually. He should be belly button free.
That's what I'm saying. Adam and Eve both didn't have belly buttons.
That's okay. So, so the Ziggurat of Ur, as the story goes, the top of this Ziggurat of Ur was once a Stargate. And that was what it was built for. It was built to make it...
That's why it had to get destroyed.
I don't know if that's why I would say it had to get destroyed. But there was the Stargate up there. And so the Ziggurat of Ur was built... we got to take the story back in time. To the early Babylon, back to Samaria.
Right.
To our friend Nebuchadnezzar.
I love Nebuchadnezzar.
So...
The bunny.
Yes.
The bunny. Ooh, I love the bunny. Yes.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that story actually in a minute.
We're talking about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in a minute?
Yeah, we are. It's part of the lore.
What is your deal? It's not lore, it's a historical fact.
No, in this scenario, it's lore. So
3 men in the Bible worked at a chocolate factory.
What?
That's historical fact.
What was it? A pea, asparagus, and who played Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in that? It was the pea and the asparagus,
and
right?
The tomato, right?
And the tomato?
Wasn't it Bob and Larry?
I don't know if Larry was one of the...
Look up VeggieTales, Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego.
Yeah, we can...
I'm Rack. I'm Shaq. I'm Benny. We work here in the
gosh,
plant.
You're right. It was
asparagus.
Bob, Larry, and the kid asparagus.
Junior.
Yeah, Junior. You're right. Why did I think it was the pea and the asparagus?
Because the only one that you remember is Jonah, where the peas are on the ship, and
that's a classic.
Or on the hill. They're on the gate at Nineveh.
Yep.
Because the grapes are on the ship.
Which, that's an interesting point. Was there ever any other fruit?
So don't do anything. There's a tomato.
That doesn't count. So before we get to Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, we need to get to
Nebuchadnezzar,
the ancient Sumer. And so we have ancient Sumerian text talking about the Anunnaki. Have you heard of the Anunnaki?
No.
So we've probably loosely referenced this in some of our alien episodes before, but the Anunnaki, an alien race.
Yes, we know it.
Yeah, an alien race from the planet Nibiru, which I think we've talked about.
We did talk about this in the Super Soldier episode.
Yes, yeah. And so Nibiru, if you need a refresher, is a mythical, maybe real planet.
Did the Nibiru... Did they have a grill?
What?
They put out, I think they had a grill.
Oh, gosh. And they were like, they had all these infomercials in the early 2000s.
I remember this so clearly.
So Nibiru is the planet that Anunnaki are from. Nibiru is the planet out past Pluto. It's the mythical 9th or 10th planet, depending on how you feel about Pluto. And depending on the mythology you look at, the asteroid belt was another planet
it's just
at one time.
Convenient to these theories that it's like just out of our solar, like, oh, it's past Pluto.
Well, what's absurd is like we can see past Pluto.
Just say that it's from Jupiter. you know?
Yeah, what's absurd is that we can see out there. Like, why haven't we noticed it yet?
Sure.
I will say
that's what I mean. It's like, oh, it's convenient that it's. I don't know. When these theories were coming up, they probably hadn't seen past Pluto.
Yeah. What I will say is like there was the I don't remember exactly how the story goes. We talked about it in our pole shift episode, but there was like signatures of a gravitational pull of something large outside there. And so it was like, oh, there might be something out there, but we didn't know about it. But this was like the 1700s or 1800s or something like that. So since then we've realized, oh, that's because something from Saturn or Jupiter is like causing an anomalous gravitational field.
Sure.
But the story is that the asteroid belt was another planet. Nibiru was this far out planet that has a weird oblong orbit.
Yeah.
And so every once in a while it crosses paths with a lot of other planets' orbits. And at one point it collided with the planet that was in the asteroid belt and blew it up. And now the asteroid belt is what's remains of that planet that exploded, which is interesting. No evidence to support that idea other than there's a bunch of rocks over there. And so Nibiru is the planet where the Anunnaki came from. They have a stargate to Earth, and that was in modern day Iraq. The Anunnaki were this like special race of aliens that we and like our mythology referred to as like angels or something like that,
right? And
like human mythology, but they're really just aliens in our modern day zeitgeist. We understand that. The term for that we see in the Bible is the Nephilim. The stories overlap. And so their stories overlap really well. Obviously, like there's stuff on both sides that are different, but then there's a middle side in the middle where in both stories, this race came to Earth and then reproduced with humans. That was bad, and they had to be wiped out. Was the story.
Right.
And so Anunnaki or Nephilim. Now, the interesting thing is when we get to the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they have the fiery furnace thing. The Israelites get taken into Babylon.
Fiery furnace is a portal.
Yeah, they're all told, you have to bow the knee. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego say, no, we're not bowing the knee to your gods, Nebuchadnezzar. And Nebuchadnezzar's like, throw them in the furnace. They throw them in the furnace. And then all of a sudden, while they're in the furnace, a fourth figure appears.
Yeah.
And that's how they discover the portal was within that portal, or within the fiery furnace was the other portal. And so that being came in, protected them. The Anunnaki or Nephilim figure, alien, came in, protected them from the fire. And then Nebuchadnezzar was like, hold on, turn the fire off. I need to talk to that guy. Talked to that guy, found out, oh, there's alien power here. Then they build the Ziggurat of Ur around it to like encase this thing. And it's like holds.
Oh, that part of it wasn't in the VeggieTales thing, though.
Oh yeah. And that in the VeggieTales story, it was Nebuchadnezzar's like, oh, I want to follow Jesus now. Can we pray the sinner's prayer?
In the fire. Or how's that lyric go?
It's just there's another in the fire.
There's another in the fire.
Yeah.
Which
is pretty hard, honestly.
I should just make a pivot to doing worship music because the standards are low.
They are low.
And it's, or Christian music at all. Because like all people want is something they can listen to in the car with their kids.
Yeah.
That's all they want.
Yeah.
And it not be like, I am blue, you are green. They want like something that like sounds fine chill to listen to.
That's
but also the lyrics are just like, God, you're good. You are cool. Jesus is my friend.
Yeah.
And it's just like, so bad. All right,
it's so bad.
Sure.
I would rather listen to the first one.
I actually saw a worship leader post a thing where he said the reason that K-Love music or like those worship songs are bad is because they can't be musically complicated.
Yeah,
because local youth pastors have to be able to play them.
Yeah, because they're making it for bad people.
Yeah, your small town acoustic guitar worship leader has to be able to sing this song.
Yeah.
So they can't make it difficult to play. They can't use
make
more
it
than
good.
4 chords. Yeah.
Yeah, which is fair. I think that changed a little bit in the 2010s. There was a brief period there where
we started getting good music,
where
and then
Hillsong,
we
Young and Free, and really all of Hillsong was like, forget you guys. We don't care if you can play this.
Then we saw what happens when you depart from 4 chords.
Then you start to get
the downfall of Hillsong was a minor 7th.
So they built the Ziggurat to house the Stargate, which is like this is a believable.
Are there other stories where Nebuchadnezzar does this, or is it just this like Stargate theory?
I actually don't.
Did Nebuchadnezzar build the?
Yeah, the Ziggurat of Ur was during Nebuchadnezzar's reign.
Interesting.
And the storyline from history is the same thing you always hear. It's like a temple or a bear, those sorts of things. I think it's a temple. It was what the story was.
I don't remember how the story ends. In the Bible, did Nebuchadnezzar turn?
Yeah, he turned.
Yeah.
But there's no evidence that he did that in real life.
If you don't know the story of the Bible, it sounds like we're like, yeah, he turned. Like. What do you mean? You're like, yeah, he turned. I was thinking he repented and
he turned from his sinful
and
ways.
Built the temple for God is what it is in the Bible.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He turned. There's another in the fire.
So he goes and builds this temple. And this is an interesting thing. And you see this a lot with the ancient alien people, is a lot of ancient monuments and things like that were built to house like religious relics. And so there is a possibility that there was some sort of religious relic that came from some event. Maybe it was Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Maybe it was something else entirely. And the Ziggurat of Ur did house that.
Something of significance.
Yeah, to that people.
Right.
But the ancient aliens group will always say, well, that was alien technology that they gave to them. And that's why they had that. That's why it was a sacred thing, is because it was ancient technology. So one thing you hear a lot too is the Ark of the Covenant is ancient alien technology.
Couldn't touch it without.
Yeah, that's why it melted you, because it was nuclear. Which, sidebar real quick, I saw this thing today. It was one of those radio shows where they like call you after you have a bad date. And it's like, surprise, the guy's on the line. And it's like, you got to tell us why the date was bad.
Oh, geez. Yeah.
And so this girl walked out on the date because she found out the guy builds or sells nuclear bombs is what he does.
Oh,
and she's like, I don't want to be involved with any of that.
What do you mean he sells them?
Yeah, that's what they were like. I don't know if that's, she's like, yeah, he like markets for them or something like that. And like, I don't think that's something anybody does. Like, I don't think there's
he's like, no, for your needs, what you're looking for is this beautiful 7-seater. I'll tell you what. And it's got the fold down DVD player in the back. It's
Yeah, this thing, it's 15,000 megatons. You're going to love it.
You're going to love this thing. This is used. That's why it's.
So they had this whole conversation with her and how disgusted she was that he sells and markets nuclear bombs because she doesn't believe in that. She thinks that's disgusting. And then they're like, well, surprise, he's been on the line the whole time listening to everything you have to say. And they're like, what do you have to say about you? And he's like, this was just a giant misunderstanding. He's like, here's the deal. He said, I don't work at it with nuclear bombs at all. He's like, I work at a marketing company, and our company is called New Clear Marketing. It's like new ideas that are clear marketing.
Well, that wasn't very clear, bro. I actually think she's right. Because like she's like, whoa, nuclear. It's literally the name of your company, you idiot.
Nuclear marketing.
I work in nuclear marketing. She's like, I don't think I can be with someone
support that
who thought that was a good business name. I'll tell you right now, nuclear marketing, that's bad marketing. I wouldn't trust that. That's why you got to go with solar flare media.
Yeah, I support that. All we do is tear down all the electronics on the planet.
Yeah.
We don't blow anyone up. We just make it to where you want to blow each other up.
Classic radio. Anyway, Tim, why don't you tell me about these Stargate people? Do that. You got to talk about that.
Well,
yours is bad. Never mind. Dang it.
You made him come back. There's a space Tim talking about the Stargate.
We opened the portal.
Yeah, the Stargate opened up, and I'm actually on planet Nibiru. Ever since
you did that because you accidentally applied for nuclear marketing, thinking you were applying for nuclear marketing.
Well, here's the thing. Ever since Boeing got the contract for the ISS, we've all been trapped up here, just floating out in space, and so we crashed on planet X
since 2017, since we started the podcast, right?
Yeah, we've just been floating out in space. It's kind of shocking that I can get this communication to you in real time.
For real,
really, thanks to the Annunaki.
Oh. Yeah,
they've got good communication skills. They really have a harness on their emotions. That's honestly, I've never understood.
They're really good at telling story and crafting the climax and conclusion.
Yeah.
Honestly, like something they don't even have to study in school. They're all just naturally born with it.
They're really gifted at it. They're really gifted, which is crazy. It makes them really good at marketing, and they actually...
And writing books.
They write really good books.
You think Tolkien's a human name?
Yeah, that's the thing that a lot of humans don't understand. Oh my gosh.
What do you think C.S. Lewis stood for? Celestial superstar?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, we've been using the Stargate at Ur.
Yeah.
I need to stop saying we. I'm not one of them. But we've been here for so long. Like, we've kind of assimilated.
You're assimilated into the culture. Is your wife...
Oh, well, sometimes I take the Stargate back, but I'm not allowed. I signed an NDA with the Anunnaki.
So I meant, like, did you end up marrying one of them up there?
Oh, I mean,
I don't mean to say one of them. That's not what I mean. I don't mean like them. I mean like, oh shoot, oh gosh, please don't get me canceled on the Nebula planet. Shoot, man.
Nibiru is the word, but it's okay. Yeah,
it's literally the most progressive planet.
Yeah, these people are really in tune. But yeah, I mean, I can go back and visit my wife every once in a while through the Stargates.
Okay, so you're doing a long distance with your wife.
Yeah, it's pretty long distance, but space-time, it's not the same. Like,
sure.
Like, New York to London's a long time ever since we got rid of the Concorde, but Earth to Stargate to Nibiru is not that bad, so yeah.
Well, I'm glad that you're updating us about your commute. We're going to keep going with the episode if that's all right.
All right,
Space Tim.
If you have any questions, I'm right here with the Anunnakis, so they can answer some if you got
No, we'd rather just speculate.
All right, sounds good. I know that's what you guys do. I'm glad that all your information is not based in fact, but just kind of made up a little bit. It's really great. It's a good bit.
That's the only way our brains can handle it.
All right, that's awesome.
Was the Ark real?
The Ark was real, but it was actually something it was like a science fair project for one of the kids up here. But here's the thing, it's super powerful.
Your science fair project is a 3-panel board where you have to make a boat that's big enough to house 2 of every creature on this planet.
Yeah, we do that all the time. Because here's the thing, the Anunnaki in our culture stands for Destroyer of Worlds. So we go and we blow that stuff up a lot. That's why we market all these nukes. And then, but we like animals, so we have to save them. So we kill the...
What about the dinosaurs?
Oh, we didn't like those. Those were weird animals.
Their necks were too long.
Yeah, nobody likes long neck animals.
Yeah.
We tried to get rid of the giraffe for a long time, but it's just resilient, man.
All right, our classic, way too chill... Galaxies away co-host. No. I've outroed you twice. Cut his mic, Alex. Good night.
Oh, where'd Alex go? Who? So, what was I talking about before we were interrupted?
It literally doesn't matter.
So
it doesn't matter because the people who found this episode are destroying us.
So mad. They're so mad. So the Ziggurat of Ur was built to house this Stargate. And it existed throughout history for a very long time. A lot of
what year was Nebuchadnezzar?
Like 4,000 years ago. I don't know the exact year, but it's
2000 BC.
Something in that ballpark.
That's crazy.
I don't know for sure, but it was really, really early. So they world powers have learned about this, and many world powers have been trying to find stargates.
Yeah.
Until recently, there's a guy by the name of Saddam Hussein. Here's a picture of him before Disney photoshopped out his cigar. And here's the exact same picture after they photoshopped out his cigar. It's just a totally different picture.
Hey, thanks for checking out this episode. Wanted to let you know real quick, we have an email list, and it's not like hey, we're going to send you our merch and new episodes all the time. We actually give you updates on these stories as we find out about them. So a lot of our episodes we've done a couple years ago now have updates, or the person the topic was about passed away or was caught by the police, or whatever updates we can find on episodes that we've done. We want to let you know about it so that our episodes just aren't, out there out of date. It's a really fun way to keep learning new information. And then every once in a while, we let you know about new events coming up or new episodes. And it's just a way to help us keep spreading this show. To join that email list, you can text TILLN to 66866, or there's a link in the description of this episode, or you can just go to TILLN.com. It's very easy to join this email list. It's everywhere. It's actually really hard to not join it. So...
So Saddam Hussein had this, I don't want to say obsession, but kind of an obsession. He believed he was the reincarnation of Nebuchadnezzar, and he wanted to be like Nebuchadnezzar and make Iraq great again, or Samaria great again. And that's why he restored the Ziggurat of Ur. This wasn't like an archaeological project. It was like, I am Nebuchadnezzar. And so here's a good graphic that lets us... lets us recognize this in our brain. There's Nebuchadnezzar, there's Saddam Hussein, there's the gate that the British, I think, took away, the gate of Samaria, and now it's in a museum in Great Britain. And then there's the Anunnaki coming to meet with Nebuchadnezzar there in the middle on that stele. So...
Did Saddam Hussein ever claim to talk to aliens?
I don't know if he ever claimed to talk to aliens, but I do think he claimed he was the new Nebuchadnezzar and was going to...
Nebuchadnezzar.
Ooh, I really like that. So he was the Nebuchadnezzar. And he was rebuilding the nation. And this gets us to the modern era, because a lot of the conflict that happened in Iraq since the 80s, this theory asserts that it's an attempt to get to this Stargate, because we want to find that Stargate and have
so you think
access
Bush knew
to
there was a Stargate there?
Yes, and the argument is that was the weapon of mass destruction.
Speaking of nuclear.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, so the argument is that they said they were looking for WMDs, they found the WMD, and then they backpedaled, and they're like, well, we probably shouldn't let everyone know that we found a portal to another planet. And so
we would rather think we're war criminals.
Yeah. So they're like, we were just looking for oil, I guess.
This was all Dick Cheney's idea. Just put it on Dick's shoulders. That's all right, dude.
But and the reason for this is, obviously we know that the whole Iraq invasion.
Being an adult now is crazy, because we were kids when the Iraq war was happening.
Yeah. And
so we didn't, I'm wondering, I don't know, what it would have been like to have been 30 at that time, because now looking back at it, we go, oh, that was really bad.
Yeah. It was something, I think, because of 9/11.
Right.
It was a polarized thing where it was like, even if
we're not going to get into the whole validity of the Iraq war and all that stuff.
If you had thoughts about it, you probably didn't really talk about it.
I know that there was heated conversations and debates, and probably not I don't know, was the political tension what it is now?
Yeah, that's a good question.
People really hate Dick Cheney because of this.
Yeah, that is a good point.
And so the people who are children now, when they grow up, they're going to be like, oh yeah, all that Trump stuff, huh? And we're going to be like, yeah, that was a crazy time.
That was a thing. Yeah.
And they're going to be like, I don't know, I was 7. You know?
Yeah, that's interesting.
I was just thinking about it.
Yeah. So
I don't remember. I mean, I remember my grandma being super. My uncle was in the military, so she was super pro. Like, I remember her watching those pictures. I would just see her on her TV all day because Fox News was talking about it all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, and maybe it was just my experience, but I think most people were in a world like that, where that was the zeitgeist.
Yeah, where it was just kind of like people were talking about the Iraq War, obviously.
Yeah.
But we were just kids. But now I feel like kids are more in tune with, I feel like kids are more in tune with what's happening right now.
Well, I think kids are more exposed to it.
That's what I'm saying. I think that's
like we would have had to watch CNN or Fox to understand it.
Right. There was no political there weren't political ads popping up on the polar bear the XP Windows XP polar bear bowling or the polar bear golf game. We weren't watching political ads in between each. That was when they gave us games and like good access to games for free. You know, and they were like, hey, you can play this polar bear bowling. Do that polar bowling. And now they'd be like, well, you get one ball and then you watch a 4-minute ad and then you get your second ball.
And the ads are insane.
Or you can pay $17.99 a day for this
to have
app.
Unlimited balls in polar bear pinball.
That's what I'm saying.
Did I send you that TikTok? The guy was talking about catering your child's YouTube algorithm.
Yeah.
That was clever. I don't know why I've never thought of that. He said if you have a kid,
go unsubscribe him from all this stuff.
Unsubscribe from everything. Go delete all the browsing history. Subscribe to what youth are okay with them watching.
Right.
And then periodically, every couple of weeks, go delete all the browsing history and delete any subscriptions you don't approve of and control what they see.
My kids are only subscribed to the Kids Getting Hurt YouTube channel.
I want them to be afraid.
Just YouTube short after YouTube short of 8-year-olds getting run over by bikes. And they're ramping, they fall. They're running around on snow, they fall. They're swinging on the swing set, they fall. They're going down the slide. They get stuck in the middle, and it like burned their back. You know, like that slide. They're like,
yep.
Do you remember we used to do metal slides? That's the problem with kids these days, dude. Is they've never had this. They've never had to suffer on a metal slide that's been in the hot July sun.
Yeah, that was brutal. The metal slides.
I can't believe we did that crap, man.
I can.
They
were faster.
I've lived through some things.
But yeah, that's a clever to control your kid's algorithm.
Yeah, smart. Make sure we never show up. And if we did, rebel against your parents.
Yeah, don't
listen to anything they say.
Your mom doesn't know what she's talking about.
Walk in the living room right now and say, you're not in charge. Like that.
Set the couch on fire. They can't do anything about it.
Walk in the living room, look your mom dead in the eye and say, I think I'm the new Nebuchadnezzar. I'm the new Nebuchadnezzar. Go say that to your mom.
Just say that to your mom.
And that's not just to the kids.
Just say that any adult, any age.
What day does this come out? This comes out like Thanksgiving week, right?
Perfect something timing. Like that.
Perfect timing. Just at lunch, right when you're eating mashed potatoes, just look up, look around, and be like, I think I'm the new Nebuchadnezzar.
I'm the new Nebuchadnezzar.
And then just go back to eating your food.
And then just continue eating.
Don't expand on it.
Yeah. Oof. So Nebuchadnezzar, or I should say, Saddam Hussein is rebuilding Iraq, trying to become the new Nebuchadnezzar, or rebuild the region to its former glory, as he states. The U.S. meddles in that. A lot of Western nations meddle in that because they want a leader of the nation that they can control better, and they also want access to all the oil. And the story that is perpetuated, especially in 2003, is that we believe that Saddam had weapons of mass destruction. So we invaded, and it was a really, really bad war. I think
they found the Stargate. Then they were like, we can't tell the public we found the Stargate.
Well, in reality, what actually happened is it was a really, really bad war. We destroyed the majority of the country, pushed everyone who survived into abject poverty, installed a new leader, and I think it was somewhere in the ballpark of 1 million civilians died in that conflict. So it was a very serious, very, very bad conflict. And then it came out that it was like, oh, there was never any WMDs and we never had good evidence of it, but we invaded anyways. And I think as a result of that, you started to see everybody to try to figure out, okay, well then how do we
justify this?
Yeah. Why did this happen? And eventually we did discover this, but in the wake of that, everybody started coming up with their theories. And I think a big reason why this started to happen is right next to the Ziggurat of Ur, we built what for a long time would be the largest military base we ever had outside of the United States. Massive airfield, massive land, and the Ziggurat was part of the base. And so you could not access the base you could not access the Ziggurat without being military.
Right.
And so a lot of pictures started coming out of the Ziggurat with tons of uniformed soldiers partying on the Ziggurat. I don't know.
That's not what they're doing. They're not partying, walking down the stairs. For audio listeners, they don't have those like 2003 glasses on or anything like that. It's not like they're literally just a group of soldiers walking down the stairs, and Tim's like, look at them having a rave. Look at them having a great time. Look at them just desecrating this holy place. You know, a lot of pictures came out of soldiers just partying.
Sorry, I've never been to a party. This is what I assume they look like.
No, I've been to your parties.
One guy with a good folder. One guy with a really good binder.
Rifle in the back.
So these pictures started coming out, and it's like, what are they doing on the Ziggurat? What was actually happening was all of these soldiers were on base, and they had a tourist site on base. And so a lot of them would go explore it and look around. Because, I mean, that's a
also
cool
where their
thing.
offices were.
That's also where the Stargate was.
I work on the second floor of the Ziggurat.
And so they would explore, they would see it. And there was some stuff where it was like they did take some American archaeologists in it to do some studies, but nothing insane. And then this whole story came out. There was already this existing theory that there were Stargates out in the world.
Sure.
And so the story is like, what if the weapon of mass destruction was actually a Stargate within the Ziggurat of Ur, and we needed to have access to that because we didn't want Saddam Hussein to be able to go to Nibiru or bring any Anunnaki back from Nibiru. And we needed that power. We needed the access to the technology that you could get from it. But what's very interesting about it is if you go into this,
we would use them very differently.
Obviously.
Yeah. You get a power out there like Saddam Hussein to bring in some aliens. He's going to take over the world.
He's going to take over the world.
We already
took over the world.
We want someone to.
We can't take over what we've already taken over. Oh gosh!
And so we would make them professional athletes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. At the time, it was Brady.
Wait a minute.
Patrick Mahomes. You rearrange the letters. It's Annunaki. Oh my gosh.
State Farm was, but look at the State Farm logo. Pull up the State Farm logo right now. Pull up the State Farm logo right now and put it on this screen. Pull up the State Farm logo. You know exactly where I'm going with this.
It's a little sketch.
Stargate. That's 3 Stargates. Thank you for pulling up the PNG file that has the transparent background on it. I know there were other options and you went for that one.
Yeah. I know you're in the middle of a contract that says all your media has to be
like
transparent.
A good neighbor.
Yeah. Like a good Nibiru. I do know from a good source that they actually pronounce it neighbor, not
no,
Nibiru.
I'm saying like, celestial
They're all
neighbor.
celestial neighbor. Yeah. That's a very good, interesting theory. Yeah. Yeah. That is interesting too, because they do
is not how to get brand sponsorships, by the way.
The State Farm's never going to sponsor us.
You have little faith.
According to, not with the way.
I have big faith.
So according to the story though, they're, the Anunnaki is where we came from. So the Anunnaki came to Earth looking for gold, and they found gold. And so then they started digging for gold. And then they were like, man, digging for gold sucks. So then what they did is they took some of their DNA and they took proto-human like apes basically, and they mixed the DNA to make the human race as a slave race to get all the gold for us because they're like, we don't want to dig. And so then we became their slave race to harvest all the gold. And then eventually there was a subset of the Anunnaki, the younger ones, that were like off at university in Portland.
Those humans are hot.
No, they were like, they were off at university in Portland, and they were like, hey, but it's kind of wrong what we're doing to all the humans.
Oh.
And they went to the humans. They were like, hey, you guys probably could kill all of them if you tried, and like you don't need to dig for gold for all of them. And so then they sponsored a rebellion and they fought back against them together, and then they overtook them, and then the humans were free. And so then as a reward, they were like, hey, because we helped you fight this war, they were like,
you can have the plan, okay.
No, they were like, hey, that's when then they were like, okay, but they're kind of hot. And then
watching you defeat our ancestors was
So then those Anunnaki stuck around.
Let's name this baby Goliath.
That's exactly the story. And then the other Anunnaki that went away and that got defeated were like, hey, we don't like any of that. And they're like, we're going to flood the planet, but we like your animals and 2 of you. And I guess your kids can stay.
2 of you.
I guess your kids can stay too. And then they built the Ark as a science fair project and then saved them all. And
let's do the Stargate story.
The U.S. comes in, tries to find it, finds it, and then is like, oh, there was no W&Ds. And they're like, we're taking this back to Area 51. We're going to hold on to it just in case we ever need to go anywhere. But in the storyline, if you look through all of the like lore before this, the Stargates don't work anymore. Like that's the thing is like they ran out of batteries or something. I don't know exactly what the idea is, but they don't connect to anything anymore. They're just these open rings. And so it's taken back to Area 51 for us to study and try to figure out how to turn it on. And that's what's been happening ever since. And so the worry was that somehow Hussein and his scientists would figure it out before we could and then have access to alien technology and whatever's on the other side of the portal. And so they're trying to figure it out. And here's the interesting thing. I think that this story is preposterous, but after learning about Skinwalker Ranch, I think it's possible that's actually what was happening because the storyline existed before the Iraq War, and after the Iraq War, it got connected to it, the Stargates. That this is why we were there, and with Skinwalker Ranch, we now know that there were government people who use their position in the government to use the government to study weird paranormal stuff, and conspiracy stuff, and despite the fact that it was pretty preposterous. And so it makes me wonder, probably wasn't the main motivation. There probably had to be some more going on there.
Right.
But maybe, and there's no way to know this for sure, but maybe, just maybe, one of them in that room was like, yeah, and then we could also get the Stargates.
In which room?
Oh, the Oval Office.
Oh. I'll take a guess at which one
it could be.
was like, what about the Stargates though?
I mean, honestly, with that oval, most of them I could see.
But there was one who was
pretty, yeah. I think there's a few of them that you could say.
There was one. There was one person in that Oval Office during that administration that was like, it's the Stargates. We don't gotta pretend.
Yeah, it's a crazy idea, but yeah, I mean, you look back and you know, after knowing the Skinwalker Ranch thing, after knowing that administration, you're like, hey, I mean, there's a chance that actually was what they were thinking.
Now watch this drive. That's crazy.
It is crazy. But yeah, that's the story of the Stargate at the Ziggurat of Ur, and how Saddam Hussein thought he was Nebuchadnezzar.
And how the humans fiddled off the
Nephilim, Anunnaki, Nibiruins.
And also Gary Coleman's Grills. Hey, thanks for listening to this episode of Things I Learned Last Night. If you liked this one, there's other Alien episodes. We got a lot of Alien episodes, but one of them is Operation High Jump, a operation where they went to Antarctica. They actually thought that the Nazis were doing a lot of their tests down there and flying saucers. They claimed to have found flying saucers down there. Operation High Jump. You can go check that out. And next week's episode is available right now on our Patreon. You can jump ahead, listen to early access, get free monthly hangouts with us. Not free, it's included in your membership. But a Discord with us and hanging out and chatting and all that stuff. So please join us on Patreon. It helps us to make more episodes. Thanks for being here for the show. We hope you like it. Share this with somebody. That is the number one way people find a podcast or find our show, is if you send this to them. So please do that. We'll see you next week on Things I Learned Last Night.